So far away, Nisha, favourite character in the Addams Family?
I always found Cousin It really amusing. I think it's a combination of the hair and the high-pitched voice.
Yeah, not to mention, I think we all felt like Cousin It for a brief period over lockdown.
Yep.
The 1991 live-action Addams Family movie is perhaps the finest example in cinema history of casting, if only because they managed to somehow cast actors who looked exactly like characters from a cartoon. Amongst these actors was the legendary Anjelica Huston, who was so heavily made up that she felt the urge to burn her outfit the moment filming wrapped.
So yeah, some people might not realise that the characters from the Addams Family are actually from a comic.
Yeah, originally they were, and the character of Morticia specifically was shown in this comic to be unnaturally thin and pale with a form-fitting black dress, which you can do in a comic or a cartoon because, yeah, it's a drawing. You can make people look like however you want, and in specific regards to the Addams Family as a whole, like every character in it is wildly exaggerated in terms of one specific feature. Like Uncle Fester is unnaturally squat and dumpy. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, I give huge props to the casting directors for the 1991 live-action Addams Family movie because every single actor they got for that is pitch fucking perfect. I don't think they could have got a better person to play Uncle Fester than Christopher Lloyd, because he looks exactly like he does in the cartoon, despite being a human man with human proportions, because they give him that really dumpy overcoat and he walks everywhere with his head sunk into his shoulders to give him the image of just being all squat. And it's so good.
Could it be? Is it him? Is it possible? Oh my god.
Yeah, it's really well done. Like even with Gomez as well, he looks exactly like him.
Gomez is fucking flawless, and Raul Julia knocked it out of the park for that performance. And I adore Raul Julia in that role because you can tell he's having so much fun. Like every moment he's on screen, he's just gnawing on the scenery, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so before we move on to Morticia specifically, do you have any favourite Gomez Addams moments? Well, while you think, mine has to be when they go and live in the motel. And it's just Gomez in, like, the wife beater, just calling into random TV shows and complaining.
Let's take a call.
Hello, Sally.
Mr. Addams, please stop calling.
It's just reminded me of that scene where he goes to save Morticia and she's, like, tied up. And you can clearly see, like, when he's going to rescue her, he's really liking the fact she's tied up. And she's like, later. Yeah, she's like, we'll do it later.
Leather straps. Red hot pokers.
Later, my dearest.
I just like how they're both like the same. They're literally the same, like the perfect couple. Like the relationship goals, definitely.
They're the perfect married couple because they utterly adore each other and are completely equal in their relationship and dote on their children. And they support their children completely in whatever endeavours they want to commit themselves to. And I love the Addams Family series. My first exposure to it was the original black and white TV show, which had similarly excellent casting.
The Addams Family.
So yeah, bringing it back to Morticia Addams.
Yes.
The actress who played her in Anjelica Huston.
Houston or Houston.
Yeah.
It depends.
I'm gonna guess that she had to wear a tight corset to get the same figure as Morticia from the comics.
Yeah. That iconic figure, she needed to wear, and I quote, a painfully tight corset, in addition to an incredibly tight dress that basically restricted her movements to nothing but that now famous just shimmy walk.
Yeah.
Where she walks almost like some sort of like unearthly creature. And that took a lot of work to do. But in addition to wearing a corset, which is underneath an incredibly tight and restrictive form-fitting dress, Huston also had to wear layers upon layers of makeup. And that's not me just being a man and not understanding how makeup works, because Morticia Addams is unnaturally pale, which required Anjelica Huston to go through hours of makeup every day to get her complexion to be that pale. And after they'd done that, they waited for it to dry and then put more makeup on top of that, including stuff like fake eyelashes to then give her the Morticia look. And that alone sounds pretty uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But it gets a bit more uncomfortable because the character of Morticia is supposed to have vaguely ethnic-looking features, which they accomplish with Huston by using rubber cement to pull her eyelids back.
Oh, God.
Which they then concealed with, you guessed it, more makeup. So not only was she wearing multiple layers of makeup, a and I quote, painfully tight corset and a very tight form-fitting dress that restricted her movements, she also had her eyes pulled back with rubber cement. Also, before we move on, I forgot something because Huston also had to have her hair pulled back, again, quite painfully, so they could put a bald cap on her and then add the iconic Morticia wig to it. So she's having her eyes, her hairline, her skin, and like her body just constricted in an unnaturally painful way, and then being expected to act in that. As if that all didn't sound uncomfortably enough, there was one final thing Huston had to deal with, and that was the addition of Bela Lugosi style highlights. Nisha, you have a picture of Morticia from the film in front of you right now, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, what do you notice about the photo?
The fact that her eyes are just lit up, like everything else around her is quite dark, and it's just her eyes.
But her eyes are always lit, and that's, as I mentioned, something that goes back to the days of Bela Lugosi in the Dracula films, where they would always have an eye light on Lugosi just to highlight his very famously piercing gaze, which was like very scary for people at the time, believe it or not. And they wanted to homage that in a way with Huston. So in every scene she's in, they pointed a very bright light directly into her eyeballs to achieve that effect.
Unhappy, darling?
Oh, yes. Yes, completely. Yeah, I'm guessing that having to put up with this for filming made her want to destroy the outfit after filming was wrapped up.
And according to Anjelica Huston, when filming Wrap, she took every single piece of the Morticia Addams outfit, from the dress to the hair extensions to like the various bits of makeup she'd been required to wear, put it all in a bag and then threw it onto a bonfire, destroying a very valuable piece of film memorabilia in the process. But I kind of don't mind that, because that admittedly is a very Morticia Addams thing to do. So Nisha, in a roundabout way, this video has been about a very iconic dress from a film. So, in that vein, do you have any other iconic dresses from film that you either like or dislike for any particular reason?
Well, I know there was a bit of like controversy about it, but I really liked the dress from the live-action Beauty and the Beast film.
Oh, is that the one that cosplayers made a better version of? We can get a picture comparison up here. Like, here's the dress from the original cartoon, and here's the dress. Is it Emma Watson? Played Belle in that film? I think I've seen pictures of it. It's like it is a very classy-looking dress, but it's not the iconic dress from the original film, which is like the huge, big, poofy one.
Yeah.
It's a princess dress. It's supposed to be extravagant and like wild and exaggerated because it's a cartoon, but you can't really translate stuff from a cartoon to live action, contrary to what Disney seems to think. Because they've tried that a lot and it's not worked yet. Like, is there a single one of those live action films that has actually not just... I don't want to say they failed because they have all made money, but they've not managed to surpass the original, at which point you find yourself asking, so what's the fucking point? Like, why remake a film that's already good if you know you're not going to be able to surpass it? It's like, why remake Aladdin and try and cast someone to outperform Robin Williams at the apex of his career? It can't be done, so why bother? And what I don't get is, why don't Disney go and remake some of the bad movies from their back catalogue to try and give them like a breath of fresh air? Like, why don't they go remake shit like Treasure Planet?
Oh, yeah.
Which are the one that utterly fucking bombed at the box office and no one gave a shit about. Go remake that in live action. Because no one's going to be like, oh, it's not as good as the original. You mean the original no one saw? Got it, awesome. Instead of remaking Lion King, why don't they go back and remake Lion King to Simba's Pride?
Oh, yeah.
Go back and do that. Remake, like, that would be something I'd be on board with. If they remade all the shitty sequels to good Disney movies.
I really, really liked the second Lion King. That was one of my favourite films when I was younger.
Well, do you like all the direct to DVD second movies in the series they made that don't have any of the original actors in them? Go remake all that shit. From what I've heard, all those live action films are perfectly passable, but do you really want passable when it's been based on a film that's like universally loved and acclaimed? And I could bring that to like one of my favourite films of all time, RoboCop.
Of course.
Which Hollywood remade, and it's not as good, at which point, but it's a perfectly passable and serviceable 6 or 7 out of 10, which I'm guessing the studio is fine with, but like from like a point of pride, if it's not going to, at the very least, match the original, why would you bother?
Yeah.
And it always pisses me off that. Just remake bad films. Like, remake films that no one likes or like that weren't appreciated in their time. Like, stop remaking films that were already good. Like, no one gives a shit. Like, I'm still waiting for like the headline. It's going to happen within our lifetime, Nisha. I absolutely guarantee of their remaking the first Star Wars.
Yeah, most likely.
I fully expect in our lifetime we will get a reimagining of the first Star Wars movie. Guaranteed. And I can't wait.